Premier League, 10 things to look out for this weekend. 1. A card trick from Guimarães. Should Bruno Guimarães be booked against Tottenham at St James Park? The Newcastle and Brazil midfielder faces a dilemma. Given that Guimarães is on 9 yellow cards, a 10th would trigger an automatic 2-game suspension, depriving Eddie Howe of a key player for forthcoming games at Crystal Palace and at home to Sheffield United. Alternatively, Guimarães could make sure he collected a second yellow card, ideally late in stoppage time, and be sent off. In such a red card scenario, the sanction would merely be a 1-game ban. Considering that Guimarães has managed to avoid a booking in 10 games since mid-January, the best solution would be to extend that run to 11 matches and then relax in the knowledge that the accumulated booking slate will be wiped clean after the Premier League's 32nd game, Tottenham's visit to Newcastle. Yet if the Brazilian transgresses, do not be surprised if he follows Anthony Gordon's example. Gordon has remained on 8 bookings, despite acquiring his 9th and 10th yellow cards in his team's recent 4-3 home win over West Ham. The collection of the second, deep in stoppage time, dictated that yellow became red and, despite Gordon being sent off, the England winger stayed on 8 bookings. The current rules certainly seem ripe for manipulation. Louise Taylor, too, would ready to pounce on Wolves' weaknesses. Wolves are in a disappointing rut, having failed to win in their past 4 outings and, while injuries have undoubtedly hindered their pursuit of a spot in Europe, individual errors at the back have been their downfall. The loss against West Ham last week was marred by the contentious disallowed equaliser in stoppage time, but it was defensive lapses that allowed West Ham to seize the lead late in the second half despite Wolves' dominance in the first 45 minutes. Gary O'Neill's side, who have kept only 2 clean sheets in their past 32 league away games, will be welcomed to the City ground by Chris Wood, who has a history of tormenting them, having scored 6 goals against them in his career. The striker, who has scored 12 league goals this season, will look to pounce on any errors or defensive frailties. Yara El Shabari, 3. A Holland reaction threatens Luton. Rodri spoke of needing a rest after Tuesday's riveting 3-3 draw with Real Madrid, so expect the Spaniard to be stepped down along with other key players when Manchester City host Luton. Kevin De Bruyne's vomit, as Pep Guardiola revealed, stopped him starting at the Santiago Bernabeu, so expect him, if recovered, to be in the starting 11 against Rob Edwards' team. In more ill tidings for the relegation strugglers. Erling Haaland's display in Madrid was a serious non-event, so he, and Guardiola, will be intent on using this outing as a tune-up for Wednesday's return leg. Expect a home victory, then, probably by a handsome margin. Jamie Jackson, for Tony and Mbeumo to fire in tandem. Ivan Toney and Bryan Mbeumo are set to start together for Brentford for the first time in nearly a year when they face Sheffield United. With Mbeumo's recent return to scoring form against Aston Villa after his recovery from injury and Toney reportedly back in top condition, Brentford's attack may finally be at full throttle for the first time this season. Toney's return from suspension has not unfolded as anticipated, though, and he finds himself in his lengthiest Premier League goal drought, having failed to find the net in 7 consecutive starts. Despite amassing 21 shots and making 36 touches in the opposition box during this spell, the elusive goal has evaded him. With Mbeumo back and Toney hungry to end his barren run, Brentford will aim to end the 9-game winless streak that has left their top-flight status in the balance. A win against Sheffield United would mitigate the risk of being drawn into a relegation battle. Why yes.